Welcome to the hotline for today, Thursday, the 21st August 2025. So good to have you today, listeners. We know that you have choices. We're happy when you come here, happier when you find reasons to stay. This is the hotline.
Emily's views, her position on the issues, her point of view backed up by the facts. Here are Emily's views.
By my count, we have 12 more days to go before the 3rd September 2025. And boy, things are really shaping up. Fascinating time. I don't spend a lot of time during a term, a parliamentary term, in the early stages, looking at polls or having discussions about them. But one of the things that I certainly do, I keep an eye on them with a view to doing primarily one thing, and that is to look at the trend, to try and read momentum, because momentum is crucial in politics. And when I listen to how items of news are carried, sometimes I wonder, why do I have a different interpretation from what is actually carried? And I usually have a little voice telling me, sometimes the news is not the news. Sometimes there are so many other things in the news, and be confident in what you find in the news because of how you've done the thing the way you've done it. So coming out of the publication of the voter intention as obtained by Don Anderson's Market Research Services team, where he conducted a poll between the 2nd of August and the 11th of August 2025, asking a number of questions. The one I zone in on this morning, for the most part, is the question on voter intention, and the answers being JLP or PNP, and looking at the trend. In my view, it is momentum JLP. When I look at the gap between September of 2024, the PNP had a 9.1% gap, i.e. lead, over the JLP in September of last year, when the question was asked, which party would you vote for if elections were called today? 9.1%. By the time we got to January, February this year, that lead had almost halved. They dropped to 4.7% when the question was asked, which party would you vote for if the elections were called today? The lead narrowed, PNP over JLP. They were leading by 4.7%, and that is down from 9.1%. By the time we got to mid-2025 in May, June, when you look at a similar question, the PNP's 4.7% lead dropped to 2.9%. When the question of voter intent was asked by Don Anderson's team recently, the 2nd to the 11th of August 2025, 2.9 tumbled to 0.8. If you are to plot this graph, it is a diagonally descending line. And this is a very important trend to watch. I start here because one must be able, certain with experience and a keen look at these matters, not only say that it is neck and neck because they now fall in a statistical dead heat, but imagine the events as a horse race. Literally imagine a horse in orange, starting out last year, September, leading by 9 furlongs. And then coming into February, cutting it to the green man catches up with only 4 furlongs to catch up on the orange man. And then into May and June, the green man is on the tail of the orange man, 2.9 furlongs. And then coming into August, a nose separates them. And the race is not yet done. Yeah? So, when I'm doing my election analysis on election night, armed not only with this, bearing in mind as well, as you've always heard said, a day in politics is an awfully long time because we don't know what will happen. So I'm literally looking forward for the next poll from Don Anderson, because I'm speaking only of Don Anderson's poll. Irrespective of what anybody says about Don Anderson's poll, I've come to appreciate how he does what he does, and how to learn how to read and understand the trend from those numbers. And I don't really compare polls, pitch posters against the others. I look at each individually. So the next one before the election will be a key poll for me in seeing exactly if the momentum continues or if there's a slight change. Let me take a break.
At the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, we're driven by service excellence. Visit
Please views.
Yes. So those are the numbers and the crucial background. Other issues in the background tell a big story. The other issues are, it is a party heading into a third term, never before done by a JLP administration. It is a party that went through one of the greatest challenges of all time in the world, which is the pandemic. And then all of the high inflationary issues concerning Ukraine, all of the issues surrounding the weather patterns. At this stage, they should be dead underwater. A government heading into a third term with all of those issues should be trailing by 15 furlongs on the horse race. By the way, I don't even think I know what a furlong looks like. So when I say furlong, replace it with meter, because a lot of us know what a 100-meter race is like. Yeah? They should be trailing. To the PNP's credit, they have a man who was previously unknown to the electorate. And on top of that, he had not even forecast his life to take on this role. In fact, I cannot forget. I cannot forget how the events of 2016 have caused just diversions in whatever plans people had for their lives. Because when Peter Bunting lost Central Manchester to Rhoda Moore Crawford, it wasn't an unexpected victory, in that I'd been hearing rumblings in that constituencies for fallout here and there, and the decisive moment when the results came, that literally caused people to wonder what happens now. Because I witnessed I'm going to take back one of the most electrifying contests inside the People's National Party for presidency, and that was between the Peters, Dr. Peter Phillips, and Peter Murcott Bunting. I take back because the race that involved Mrs. Simpson Miller was one of the battle royals as well, and I was able to cover and watch it. But when Peter Bunting lost the seat, and therefore it was evident that he couldn't hold on or seek to even remain the leader of the opposition under those circumstances, I came on this program, and having watched the parliamentary politics, having watched the senatorial appearances, I actually forcefully suggested to the PNP that they should consider Mark Golding as a leader of choice for that party. When he came to the electorate, unless you watched the presentations in the parliament with diligence, you wouldn't know him. And there were a lot of fractious groups. There are still remnants of that inside the party. But what Dr. Dayton Campbell, General Secretary, who having lost his seat in St. Anne to Crystal Lee, having lost his seat, what he was able to do as General Secretary was to find the time to make the moves on the road. And the PNP has been campaigning from perhaps late 2023. So they were able to go into the local government elections of February 2024 with the people knowing a little bit, not enough, about Mark Golding. But as a result of the little that they did, in my view, which I called from the night of the election, coming up to the local government election, it was momentum PNP coming up to February 2024 local government election. And all sorts of flowery, obfuscatory language came, and all sorts. I never resile from that position. But even with all that has gone on, Mark Golding has in some way entered the psyche of a number of people in Jamaica, so much so that he now commands favorability rating in line with Andrew Holness, 2 points behind. The unfavorability numbers as well are lower than Andrew Holness, and he has a higher net in terms of favorability. But to my mind, the big indication of the pulse of the people has always been the question on voter intent. And with approximately 2 weeks to go, there are some people who are still, they say they're on the fence a little bit. More of them, they do come over closer to the election. With the momentum where it is, heading into a third term, when all politics is local, it will be a fascinating election. I've certainly been spending some time recasting each constituency, except one or two that I still consider safe. But I'm not guided by the results of 2020, nor the one immediately preceding it only, because there are so many moving variables now that are telling, to me, stories that have never been told before. Yeah? So we'll watch and see. Don, I'd love to find out when it is you're going back, because that will certainly solidify a lot in my head on this crucial momentum, which I've explained to you where I see the momentum at the moment. Watch and see. Very soon, if and when I'm led, I'm now doing the calculation. Then I will have some better idea and will perhaps indicate to you the numbers that I see. But again, part of the issue is I've not been in these constituencies, so I don't really sort of speak on matters, over which I have little or no first-hand experience. Yeah? The debates. I really hope that there is a fact-checking component to the debates that are coming up. Whereas before, information was not so readily available to individuals. With the use of reliable artificial intelligence tools and an ability to search into archives of reputable media houses, we should be able to check instantaneously the things that are being said by individuals about their genesis. And I do hope as well that those who are on the panel will have the latitude within the structure that has been set up to be able to suggest to the person who is answering that that is not actually so. Because part of the problem I keep having is that a lot of the things that are being said as new proposals, they are not. They're absolutely not. And I find it really difficult to sit and not say that this is actually not new. This is happening. I heard Dr. Campbell, for example, in an interview with Dion yesterday, saying it is not until they propose, he didn't think the school bus program was an idea for the JLP until they put the proposal for the RIDE program out there. The RIDE program is the proposal to pay a certain sum for transporting of rural children to school. I told you on this program that I learned some months ago that from 2016, and I'm not sure what year, from 2016 the Ministry of Education has had a policy where transport operators in some rural communities have been paid fixed sums by the various schools, money coming from the Ministry of Education, to transport up to 7,500 PATH students to school. Right? I also heard Dr. Dayton Campbell saying that the plan is to build 6,000 new homes, and it was only said when it was seen in the PNP's manifesto. And I'm sure that when I heard Andrew Holness speaking at the Halfway Tree rally on the 10th of August, that he gave that commitment. The issue of tax on tips, I am sure it is not a new proposal, because I recall hearing presentations from sometime last year on the very same matter. And it is my hope that, especially in this new dispensation, when it is sort of easier to collate information, that when we get manifestos from here on, the manifestos can say, this is what is now being done. This is what I propose that I will do. Because the people who are not paying a lot of attention to what goes on, they sometimes don't know whether what is proposed is actually happening. And when it is proposed as something new and not an advancement on or an addition to, it becomes a little uncomfortable for people who tend to watch these things a little closer. Those are my thoughts for the moment.